What's up, YouTube family? Today we're going to take a look at the UGREEN NAS that we physically unboxed in our last video, and we're going to look at the digital configuration. Let's take a look at that together. Okay, I have the IP address that was generated through DHCP on my router, and I plugged that into the address bar. Let's go ahead and hit enter. And if there's no issues, you're going to land on what looks like a wizard with 4 steps. At this prompt, you're going to have a device name. This will be what it's called on your network, the DNS host name. So I tested this a minute ago, and you can only have so many characters before it gives you an error. So you can only have 1 through 15. So we're just going to take that out. And I like DXP6800 Pro. That's pretty good, but I like UGREEN, so I know what the item is. And we're going to go ahead and check the box that we read the agreement. And I don't have a problem with the optional device analytics. The telemetry is just there. Different IT manufacturers will gather that information anyway. And I have it blurred out, but right above the device name is going to be the serial number. You might want to write that down, put it in an asset tracking tool, or maybe hold on to it for a warranty. So let's go ahead and hit next. And then this screen is going to be your administrator account, probably what you would call your break glass IT account if you're using this in that kind of business setting.
So you can optionally set up an avatar. You could pick some of the predefined ones that are in their software. They're pretty neat looking little icons or avatars. You can upload your own from your computer. For this demonstration, we're going to leave it default.
So you can give it a name. It could be, say, owner. You can call it whatever you want. Admin is probably good, but it's a good IT practice to set something that's not super obvious. So you could say UGREEN NAS admin 01 or break glass. I'm not saying that your username needs to be that long, but
I'm just going to call it NAS owner, and we're going to give it a password. Go ahead and type one in there. Obviously this is for demonstration purposes, so I'm going to factory reset this at the end and start over with proper information for my own use. But for now, this is what we're going to use, and hit next. You can bind an email address at this step here. When you do that, you put in your email address here, and you'll get basically a two-factor, multi-factor email code, and then you'll plug in that code. So if you did yourname@domain.com, you hit get verification code. After a couple minutes, it'll show up in your mailbox. Then you type in the code 123456, and then you agree to the policy. And optionally, if you want to receive their marketing information, you can check or not check that box. For the moment, I'm going to go ahead and hit skip. But before I say that, you'll get notifications through their UGREEN link. So there's some benefits to binding, but for this demonstration, we'll hit skip. And it'll ask you, do you want to skip? We're going to say yes or confirm. And the last page is how you want the system to update. As with a lot of different pieces of software or services or hardware even, you're going to want to pick the one that applies to your needs for your individual or business use. We have only installed the important ones. Think of that as your major updates. You have automatically install all updates, so that's major, minor, and bug fixes and patches and things in between. And then there's notify when the UGREEN operating system and apps are available. I'm going to pick that one, and I'm going to hit initialize. This process can take anywhere between 5 to 15 minutes. We'll go ahead and let this run here.
there it is. Look at that. Welcome to the UGREEN NAS. So we're going to go ahead and hit start.
So what we're seeing here is a post setup in-app wizard. So we'll go through these here. You can see all the apps that are installed in the app library in the upper left corner of the desktop. You can go ahead and hit next. The control panel gives you instant access to the basic controls, including users, network, hardware, etc. We hit next again. There's the application, or just App Center, that enables users to download, install, and update and uninstall apps. And the last one is you can set a wallpaper up. That's a pretty cool setting, but we'll stick with the default one. It's pretty neat. You can set the whether it's going to fill, fit, stretch, center, or tile. You can also set your language options. You have a whole bunch of different ones here. I'll pick English. The date format, that one's fine for me. We're going to set the temperature. Here in the US, we're on Fahrenheit. And the menu bar, you can decide which of these icons you want to appear. And if you turn one off and hit apply, they'll disappear at the top, and you have to refresh the page, or it refreshed for us. We'll go back to personal. I want all the features on, so we'll leave that alone. We'll hit apply. Operation successful.
Great, you have learned the main features of the UGREEN NAS. Get started with volume creation. If you happen to close out of the pop-up box that was there after the wizard and the walkthrough, you'll still get a little robot AI looking thing down here in the corner, and it kind of gives you a reminder of the things that you need to do. So I'm going to go ahead and click on create volume for using storage. So I'm going to click that, and guess what? It brings us back where we were. So there's a flexible storage layout, and if you remember back to the unboxing video, I was talking about it doesn't matter the order you put the drives in the bays, because you could logically set up your RAID levels to do different things. If you want to actually have some flexible storage with your RAID on half of your NAS, you can do that. You can also then say the last couple bays you use for a different purpose. So, there's a bunch of different ways you could do this. There's hard drive monitoring and health. There's error detection, and it'll notify you. And then we'll notice that there is an external storage management. So we can go ahead and hit next. Welcome to the storage. The UGREEN NAS offers various practical hard drive management features for easy and efficient management. So we're going to go ahead and see create storage pool, create the volumes, and done. First, create a storage pool and a volume to store your data. So we're going to hit create. And it looks like it detected the 3 hard drives that we installed. That's awesome. So we're going to select drive 1, drive 2, and drive 3. And you'll notice as I was doing that, let's see if we can make this window a little bit bigger. As I was selecting the drives, you'll notice that depending on how many you select depends on what type of RAID you can choose. So if you have 1, you can do a basic or a JBOD, which is just a bunch of disks. When I select 2, we can do RAID 0 or RAID 1, so we have striping or mirroring. And then when I do 3 or more, there's other options. There's I think RAID 6 is another option, but I don't have the physical drives for that. But for now, we're going to select the 3. We're going to pick RAID 5, and it gives you an overview of what's going to happen, the system usage, which is very minimal. And yeah, about 50 gigs it looks like. Then we have about 7 terabytes available, and our protection is 3.6, and there's nothing unavailable. So we're going to go ahead and do that. And I remember from watching tutorials of my own trying to figure out what product I wanted, and that was to not do the hard drive test. But if we enable the hard drive test, it can reduce data risk errors, but it may slow down storage speed. For now, I'm going to leave that because there's smart storage and other detections. So we're going to go ahead and hit next. And we want to allocate the entire volume, which again is going to be 2/3 of it. So this is a point of contention on the internet, even still here in 2026, whether to use ext4 or BTRFS. And in short, if you want snapshotting or backing up or quotas and that extra overhead cache read write, you need to use BTRFS. Otherwise, if you don't have any plans to need stability, if you don't have, otherwise, if you want to just have pure performance, you'll go with ext4. But for me, it's really, really important that I have, the ability to roll back if I accidentally delete, some files or something like that, or I can, at the device level, I can roll back to a snapshot. So I'm going to go ahead and select BTRFS and hit next. This is going to show me my storage pool. We're going to pick RAID 5, even though the internet is still indecisive on the RAID 5, 6 with BTRFS, but I believe they use MD, ADM. I'm not 100% sure. I believe that UGREEN is using BTRFS with MD-ADM, which is kind of like sits on top of the RAID or volume storage, and that should help. So I know that there's a lot of in and out arguments back and forth or whatever. So for now, we're just going to pick BTRFS and we'll go from there. Let's go ahead and hit create. All data on the hard drive 1, 2, and 3 will be deleted. Do you want to continue? These are brand new, so we're going to hit format. And I got to get the password, so let me go ahead and grab that. Okay, and then I went ahead and entered that and continued. Nothing's happening here on this screen, but it will. I can hear the device making noise on the platters in the background. And there we go. Now we're getting some progress. So we're at 0%, and it'll give you an estimated remaining time. It took a moment to give me a progress indicator. It says approximately 6 hours and 3 minutes. So we'll come back when that is completed.
The RAID configuration has finished. It probably took the whole 6 hours. I had to step away because I wasn't going to sit here that long, but it did complete, and I checked on it later in the night, and we had no issues, no errors, no warnings, so that was awesome. You'll notice that the volume that is already here is just one whole usage of the entire storage pool. You do have the ability, and I recommend doing that, up front to, I would start with deleting it. You'll get a warning, hey, if the volume's deleted, all data will be gone. Obviously there's nothing on it. So we're going to go ahead and hit delete. And then you'll need to put in a password. Hit confirm. And now the volume is gone. What I recommend doing is creating separate volumes for what you think you're going to use it for up front. If you hit create, you can use this slider to change the amount if you want to just use it in a approximation of percentages. So I want to use maybe 20% of my overall storage that's available, or I want to use 50%. You could do that, or you can just say, hey, I want to give I want to use 2 terabytes of storage, or 2048. I want to allocate that to my file system. And again, because we chose BTRFS previously, we're going to continue that theme through so we can do snapshots and recoveries and things. So we're going to go ahead and hit OK. The volume is immediately created. We might hit the description button and say this is for tech ISO files. I mean, you can put whatever you want, but just for the example, you have 64 characters to name it. And then we might create another volume. Now you'll notice that the pool size has shrunk. So your new 50% would obviously be represented by that. So we'll be close, just a little bit under 5 terabytes. So we'll be close to 2.5, thereabouts. So you might say, oh, well, in this case, I want to use 1 terabyte for, let's say, user files. You could do that. Just for example, if you ever get to a point where you're like, oh, I need more space, you can reclaim space, you can expand, and you could change the settings. Give me a warning when it gets close to 15%, because user storage, I would probably be a little bit more concerned about that than maybe 5% of my ISO files, for example. So you can extend this or expand it. You can say, I want to give them, let's say, 50 more gigs, just for example's sake. We only want to give just a little bit more, and then you've increased your storage by that amount. Once you have your volumes created the way you like, or you can come back to it later if you want to stick with the default, you have the options to do that. There's a data organizing tab. I may hold that for another video because that has different configurations and options. But under the advanced settings, you can set where your performance is going to be at. Do you want to prioritize the read and write for user data, or do you want to prioritize RAID syncing? Right now I'm leaving on user read and write because the CPU usage is very minimal on my system. I'm, let's see, using maybe 1% because there's nothing happening on my system right this moment. So I'm okay with this. I might change this later in the future, and you might too. And we're going to leave quick repair on so that there's no degradation occurring. But where you're probably going to find some handy information for storage is going to be under hard drives. This is where you can, depending on how many drives you have in your model, you might have the 2, the 4, the 6, the 8 bay. Regardless of what you have, the process is the same here. You'll select a drive, you can go to details, and this will give you things like your temperature, your read time, your power on runtime, which will also be like your lifetime of your drive, different attributes related to your drive, the like RPM speed, like 5400, 7200. You can do a read-write test, which I'm not going to do. There's also your smart attributes, and there's a basic and an advanced mode, and you can see those where they reference in the historicals and your present values. And then you have external storage. So if on the front of your device you were to use your USB flash drive or an external hard drive to bring data over, this would be where you would see them in the menu. We will probably do another video on that if you want to. Throw a comment down for me. And then if we go back to the overview page, you get an overview of everything. You get some knowledge base articles. There are widgets, and I do like that there's already a built-in one where you can see the bays. You can click on them and go right to the highlighted one. But if we hit widgets, we have a hard drive status, which is what's present behind us. We have a volume status if we add that. They're all pretty normal. There's nothing on here right now. If you have any scheduled tasks, which we do have a couple, I'll show you that in a second, those will be here as well. Performance monitors, and you can change this for IOPS utilization, and then transmission for read and write. And then you also have a similar graph for volume performance with IOPS utilization and transmission performance. And then it tells you there's no more space for widgets. So you have a couple different options here. So you can also click on, it's very faint, but you can hit the 3 ellipses dots, and you can move widgets up and down in the panel. If you so choose to do so, you can also delete them. So you can hit this, hit delete, confirm it, and there might be some that have other items to display, like, oh, I want to see hard drive 1, I want to see hard drive 2, hard drive 3, or however many you have, like we talked about before, and you'll get the appropriate metrics as well. So you've got a couple different options here too, and we can do usage. Oh, that's cool. That's very neat. So we got a whole bunch of cool stuff here. For me, starting out the gate, I probably would only want to see the hard drive and the volume status, but as I get used to it myself, I'll probably add some more widgets to this. Real quick, I'm going to wrap up the storage section here by going back to hard drive status test plan. And you're going to notice you can create your own plan if you want to, give it a name, choose the drive or drives that you want to apply this to, and then the frequency, once a day, weekly, monthly, every 3 months, and then the duration that you want to allow the test to happen. And there's 2 that are already pre-configured, and they apply to the entire drive set. So you have a smart test rapid and a smart test full, and one's going to be more labor intensive, testing all your sectors, and one's just going to check for your basic attributes. So take a look at those when you get a chance so you can see all the different things that are available. Well, that wraps up our initial config and the storage detailed overview of the UGREEN NAS series that I'm doing. I've got a whole lot more in this series, and I hope that you like, comment, and subscribe so that you do get notified of those. So my final thoughts, I'm very impressed with this product. So far, there's a whole lot more to come and a whole lot more to learn. And the software, I don't think it's too easy. I don't think it's too complex. I think it's kind of a good sweet spot. And so I've seen that the manufacturer releases updates periodically. So that tells me that they are listening to the community and they're trying to stay competitive in the market for software updates and keep the product useful. And I look forward to seeing a lot more things that they have coming down the pipeline. And I hope that you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you next time.